Imagine this: one narrow sea routes get blocked, and suddenly oil prices skyrockets, global trade slowdowns, and countries like India face economic shock. See, that route exists. It is called Strait of Hormuz, and right now it is at the center of dangerous standoff between the United States and Iran. But here is the real story. This is not just a conflict, it's a deadlock where no one can win and everyone can lose. Okay, let's break down. See, the battle without war. This is the battlefield without war. Okay, welcome to Persian Gulf, one of the most strategic region in the world. See, nearly 20% of the oil passes through this narrow stretch of water. Now imagine this artery of global energy suddenly gets blocked. That's exactly what has happened when the tension escalated between Donald Trump and the Iran. Okay. After a war began in early 2026, Iran made a bold move. It closed the Strait of Hormuz. No ships, no oil, and no normalcy. See, the illusion of victory, let's say. On one side, the US President Donald Trump claimed that Iran's military capacity are destroyed, but reality tells a different story. The strait is still blocked, Iran is refusing to negotiate, and the US cannot reopen it easily. So, what we see is not victory, it is a strategic illusion. And let's rewind about the escalation and misstep. The war began with the US and Israel, led by Benjamin Netanyahu, targeting Iran. Okay, Iran responded not just with weapons but with geography. It used its control over the Strait of Hormuz as leverage. This came a brief hope. A ceasefire was announced. Iran hinted it might reopen the strait, but suddenly the US decided to continue blocking Iranian port. And just like that, trust collapsed. Iran tightened control again. Then what happened? The talks were cancelled. The crisis deepened. See, this is how in geopolitics geography can be used as a weapon. Here is a most important lesson. In geopolitics, geography is power. Iran doesn't need to defeat the US military. It just need to control over one choke point, the Strait of Hormuz, because it's the strongest weapon. This is what we call strategic choke point diplomacy. Okay. And why the world should worry about this? See, this is not about just US and Iran. The consequences are global. See, oil prices are rising, shipping routes get disrupted, and inflation hits economies. And countries like India feels the shocks immediately. Okay, because India imports most of its oil from through that route and depends heavily on this route for other thing. Okay, so this conflict, thousands of kilometers away, directly affects our daily life. So recently we are having energy shock in terms of LPG, gas, and others, and inflation may come if it continues. So this is how India is getting affected. See, and here is the deadlock. See, now let's come to the core idea, the Persian deadlock. The US cannot win militarily without huge risk. Iran refuses to stand under pressure, and both sides are stuck. And when powerful nations are stuck, the world becomes unstable. See, and let's come to the real problem, the contrary strategy, which is one day the US talks about peace, next day it threatens Iran. At the same time, it demands negotiation but continues economic blockade by blocking the ports, Iran ports. This creates mistrust, and in international relation, trust is everything. See, trust is everything. And what is the way out? See, so let's see how we can solve this. The answer is simple but difficult, which is compromise. The US should lift the blockade, Iran should reopen the strait. Both should return to negotiation. Also, Iran must need to negotiate on its nuclear program. The US may need to ease sanctions because there is no military solution here. So this teaches us key concepts, okay, which are strategic choke points. Here in this, it is that Hormuz Strait, and it speaks about the economic warfare. Here, what is happening is economic warfare and limits of military power and importance of diplomacy. Okay, and most importantly, it is a connected world. Conflicts are never local and they are global. So, here is a final thought. The Persian deadlock is not just a regional crisis, it's a reminder that power alone cannot solve conflicts. Pressure without trust creates resistance, and diplomacy is not weakness, it is necessary. Okay, because when giant clash, the world shakes. Okay, so hope you would have understood the context of the second Indo editorial of today's. If you have any doubt, put it in the comment section. I will read and explain. Thank you.